guys, it's Michelle, and today's video is going to be one of my favorite conspiracy theories of all time. It's going to be all about Tupac Shakur and Biggie Smalls. So I have done both of these videos before, which is kind of funny because I usually don't repeat conspiracy theories. However, I was looking back at the old footage from both of these videos, and they're both so ugly and cringe. Honestly, you can watch them back if you want. They're still on my channel, but they're so bad, and they're just so badly edited. There's so many jump cuts, you could barely fucking understand what I'm saying. And I was just like, fuck it, I'm gonna redo it. And also in honor of the new Tupac movie that's coming out, I think today when you're watching this. I don't know, not sponsored by Tupac. I thought it'd be cool to redo it because this is one, literally my favorite conspiracy theory of all time, probably. Maybe other than Michael Jackson, which I have done a video on multiple times. But I don't know, I just think that there's just so much fucking evidence and so much just interesting things. So let's get into the different conspiracy theories surrounding them. So we are first going to start off with the death of Tupac Shakur. So there's an important background that you need to know when you're looking into these conspiracy theories, and it is the whole East Coast versus West Coast rap battle kind of drama that went on. Everyone pinned them against each other. And especially within Death Row Records, which was Tupac's record label, and Bad Boy Records / Bad Boy Entertainment, it was known as both, and that was Biggie's record label. So P. Diddy helped found Bad Boy Records, and Suge Knight founded Death Row Records, which is important to note because Suge Knight is going to be pretty prominent within this entire video, so let's get into it. So on September 7th, 1996, Tupac and Suge Knight were leaving a boxing match in Las Vegas, Nevada. Tupac and Suge were driving down the Vegas Strip when they approached the intersection of Flamingo Road and Koval Lane. Tupac was in the passenger seat and Suge Knight was driving. This is obviously important to note because it sets up the kind of way he was shot. But like I said, they were stopped at the intersection when a white Cadillac shot at the car 14 times. 4 of the bullets hit Tupac, twice in the chest, once in the arm, and once in the thigh, and Suge Knight was only grazed in the head by some fragmentation, but for the most part was okay, and obviously he was okay enough because he drove Tupac to the hospital. So it might be important to note that Suge was a pretty big guy in comparison to Tupac, which is something that I think is pretty weird because obviously if you're sitting in a car and Suge is sticking out more than Tupac is, and yes, they were shot at from Tupac's side, but for Suge to barely be hit is really strange because obviously Tupac is sitting assuming that he's sitting normal, even if he was leaning forward, he wasn't hit in the head, so it's probably more likely that he was sitting a normal passenger, you know what I mean? Suge obviously sticks out more. You can even see in the photo that they took right before he was shot, when they were driving. So obviously Suge sticks out more, so you would think with 14 shots, how lucky was Suge to be completely fine? How was he not even really hurt at all? That's kind of shocking to me, I would say, because he sticks out more, so not only is he more likely to get shot because he has more body mass in the open, but also how was it that Tupac got shot 4 times and 10 other shots were fired, but none of which hit Suge? I don't know. I feel it's just must have been Suge's lucky day, or was there something else going on? So Tupac died 6 days later at the University Medical Center of Southern Nevada. We're putting quotes around died because this conspiracy theory obviously is that Tupac is still alive. I feel it's the most popular conspiracy theory probably maybe even ever about celebrities, so that is the premise of that, and that's why I'm using quotations. But he died from internal bleeding in the hospital. So this is the really famous theory that Tupac is still alive and all of the evidence that leads up to it, which in my opinion is kind of a lot of fucking evidence. I believe this 100%. So the first piece of evidence is the famous last picture I showed before, but here are some things you might want to notice about the picture. First of all, the picture says September 8th, 1996, which is a day after Tupac was shot. This obviously could be a lot of things. A, it could be Photoshop. B, it could be the camera was off, but it's a paparazzi camera probably, so or definitely, I mean, who else would just be pic of them like just like driving. But that is like something that's kind of weird to me, because if it was a paparazzi camera, it's like their job, their profession. You'd think that they would probably have the right date on the camera. I don't know, maybe they would have a day off. Who knows? But I find that to be kind of interesting. It's really the lowest piece of evidence. You just fucking buckle up, bitch, if you want to get into like the rest. It also may be important to look into the ignition and realize that there are no keys like anywhere to be found, which is kind of weird because it definitely looks like Suge is driving, or at least pretending to be driving. The next piece of evidence I find to be super, super interesting is that Tupac was shot in 1994. Obviously, he lived at that point. He was shot at the Quad recording studio. However, since this date in 1994, he has worn a bulletproof vest everywhere he went. Like literally to any event he would go to, Tupac would be wearing his bulletproof vest. So it pretty much makes no sense why he wasn't wearing it the night he was killed, because he wore it everywhere after that 1994 shooting. It wasn't even that much longer after that. It's only 2 years after. And he was always afraid that someone would shoot him. So that's kind of weird that he wasn't wearing it in the first place, because obviously it would have saved his life. Like, he was shot in the chest. So that's really weird to me. And obviously there is no killer that's been identified, or pretty much even suspect. That really no one has pretty much any idea who killed Tupac. So the next piece of evidence is that the Vegas Strip is pretty crowded. It's Las Vegas. It's the end of a boxing match. Everybody's leaving. Why the hell were there no witnesses at all? Like, no one said that they saw it happen. No one saw the white Cadillac that they shot out of. No one pretty much saw anything, which is so weird because, like I said, it's the Vegas Strip. There's a ton of stuff going on, and also, like, they wouldn't even be able to be like, oh, like, Tupac was, like, killed, because, like, it wasn't a big thing because Suge just drove him straight to the hospital. So that is also super weird. Another piece of evidence that I find super strange is that Tupac's mom, when talking about his death, said,
you know, in the end he chose to leave quietly.
I feel like that's a very, very weird way to phrase something like that. Like, when talking about your kid's death, like, he chose to leave quietly. Chose to leave quietly. Like, I don't... That pretty much sounds like somebody who just, like, was leaving the scene of Hollywood, trying to fake their death and get the fuck out. That's just my opinion. The next piece of evidence that's super weird is that Tupac was cremated. Obviously, that's not weird. But what is weird is the fact that the person who cremated him retired right after cremating Tupac.
I always want to know, is Pac dead? Is Pac alive? I'm the wrong motherfucker to ask. But I tell you this, if you try to find the person who cremated Tupac, after he supposed cremated Tupac, he retired and vanished into the sun, into the sunset, into the darkness.
Which is interesting, because you may think maybe they were paid off. Who knows? And perhaps the most interesting piece of evidence comes from Tupac's love for an Italian writer named Machiavelli. So Machiavelli was famously quoted for saying, "To fool one's enemies, fake one's death." I mean, not only that, but Tupac's name, like, he, instead of having Tupac on his last album, he had Machiavelli. It was spelt differently, but it was done on purpose. Like, it was meant to be Machiavelli, like the Italian writer.
That's your own question. Is he here or is he there? But at the same time, that was my little brother. His code name was Machiavelli, like mine is Simon. And if you know the story of Machiavelli, he faked his own death.
Which is weird, considering he said, hey, fake your death if you want to get rid of your enemies, like, bye. I think that's the most weird piece of evidence in this case. However, it is also important to know, I think, because I think this is also super strange, that there were 7 Tupac albums released after his death. It's quite insane to me, because usually when people die unexpectedly, maybe they can scratch together like a few, like 12 recordings maybe, to like put them into songs and produce them and have one album. But to have 7 fucking albums, that is a shit ton. Like, that's a lot. That's literally a lot of fucking albums. Like, that's crazy to me. Blows my mind. And I don't know. I mean, maybe it depends on the person, but I would say it's a little bit suspicious that Tupac would have 7 albums all ready to go before his death. I don't know. Also, there have been many Tupac sightings that I'm sure you've seen all around the internet. I don't know. I find this to be like iffy evidence. Another thing that's really weird is that Suge Knight was quoted saying,
You know, they want to put Pac back in prison. And Pac would fake his own death and disappear before he go back to prison. So shit, you answer that. Do you still hear? Do you still see? I'm quite sure you do. But once again, ain't in the telling, so you never know.
I mean, it's kind of interesting that Shakur And I said that in the first place, especially when there's all these conspiracy theories surrounding it. I don't know. Obviously, the majority, I would say, of people that, like, know about Tupac's death probably think that he did fake his death. It's a pretty popular theory because of all the evidence. However, the people that don't think Tupac is dead come up with the theory that none other than the notorious B.I.G., aka Biggie Smalls, was the person who killed Tupac, or at least had something to do with the murder. I don't think that Biggie had something to do with it. I don't know, I just feel like Biggie wouldn't do that. Maybe that's just me, but I don't know, I just don't think Biggie would do that. I just love Biggie, so I just feel like that's not true. And also, I genuinely think Tupac is alive. This shit is like, I don't know, that stuff is just too weird, especially the Machiavelli thing, so that's my opinion. But that leads us into our theories about Biggie Smalls, because obviously Biggie Smalls, if you guys didn't know, sadly passed away as well. I think Biggie's really dead, but Tupac? No. So on March 9th, 1997, at the Peterson Auto Museum in Los Angeles, California, Biggie was leaving a party with P. Diddy, but drove separately from Puff Daddy with his security guard. So Biggie and his security guard were at the intersection of Fairfax and Wilshire when Biggie Smalls was shot 4 times. Right after he was shot, Puff Daddy ran out of his car after hearing the gunshots and drove Biggie straight to the hospital, where he was pronounced dead. Because of all like the evidence and the people that saw like Biggie for real like get shot, and just the different, I don't know, the circumstances are very different from the Tupac case because the gunshots were heard, P. Diddy ran out of his car. Pretty much most people believe that Biggie is dead, which is opposing to Tupac, where most people, I would say, believe that he is still alive. So first of all, there is a little cute conspiracy theory that they're both still alive, Tupac and Biggie. I wish this was true, but I feel like Biggie really is dead. But it would be really great. People think that they live together in New Zealand and just smoke cigars and just chill out, living on the island and just doing shit. I don't know. I wish that was true. Like, that's in like a perfect world, like Tupac and Biggie is found alive, like just chilling out. So we're going to get into the conspiracy theories surrounding the notorious B.I.G.'s death. This is the one that I believe the most and has the most evidence, and I don't know, I pretty much full-heartedly believe this. So I'm not accusing anyone, but this is just the evidence laid out for you. Prime suspect of this conspiracy theory is Suge Knight. So like I said, Suge Knight was the owner of Death Row Records, and Tupac was signed to Death Row Records. Death Row Records and Bad Boy Entertainment obviously had beef, kind of, like the whole East Coast versus West Coast, so we know that premise. So this is all assuming that Suge believed that Biggie had something to do with Tupac's murder and wanting to get revenge, which is a pretty decent motive. People believe that the LAPD was corrupt and actually helped Suge Knight kind of orchestrate this thing. Not the entire LAPD, obviously, but like a couple members of the LAPD, including a Los Angeles Police Department officer named David Mack. So David Mack was on the payroll for Death Row Records as a security guard, which is something very interesting to note, that he was on the payroll in general and was like noted a security guard, because David Mack owned a black Impala, which was seen at the crime of Biggie Smalls' shooting and was also believed to have contained the actual shooter. So come on. David Mack was also at the party that Biggie and P. Diddy left from. So this police officer, David Mack, was also associated with the person who is a prime suspect in Biggie's murder, named Amir Muhammad. They went to college together, so that is how they know each other, and people believe that Amir was just the hitman, and that was set up by David Mack, who was set up by Suge Knight, and like they were all working together. This is about to get pretty evidence heavy, so stick around, pay attention. So P. Diddy's bodyguard at the time said that there was a man who was strangely lurking around Puff Daddy during the party and like was just really creeping him out and giving him really weird vibes, and his security guard was shown pictures of possible suspects and pointed directly to Amir Muhammad and said that that was him lurking, which is obviously weird because he was a prime suspect and he knew David Mack, and David Mack had the Black Impala. It was seen at the scene of the crime and was suspected to have contained the shooter. But there's still more evidence, because in 2011 it was released that Biggie was shot with a Gecko 9mm Amor piercing ammunition. I don't know if I butchered that, sorry. Which is such a rare ammunition that only 2 distributors of this ammunition exist in the United States. And get this, the ammunition that was found in Biggie Smalls was also found at David Mack's house. I mean, need I fucking say more? I don't understand how this is still unsolved. I don't understand why the Black Impala wasn't more inspected. I don't fucking stand. It's literally insane, but that's the conspiracy theory. Why was it released in 2011? Who knows? Like I said, people believe that the LAPD was corrupt at the time and was probably helping Suge Knight orchestrate this whole thing, and David Mack being a part of that, and of course Amir Muhammad being the hitman. However, we probably will never know the true answers to either of these cases unless Tupac decides to show himself, and maybe he has an explanation to what happened to Biggie. But that is it for today's conspiracy theory. If you guys liked it, please give it a big thumbs up. Let me know in the comments what you guys think of these conspiracy theories and who you think killed Biggie, and do you think Tupac is still alive? I would like to know what you guys think. Make sure you follow me on Twitter, Snapchat, and Instagram because I'm always posting really dope shit on there, and subscribe for new videos every single day, and I will see you all tomorrow. Bye!
I cheated myself.